Welcome to our first Wise Life interview. In this series, I want to follow some creative people and their creative journey. Today, I have with me Irenka. She is a singer, songwriter, and she is a very creative person. So I'm very grateful for her being here today with me. She um, is originally from Belgium, and now she's currently residing in Nashville in the US. So, Irenka, thanks for doing this interview with me and spending some time with me.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm very honored to be featured on your series. Thank you.
And just so the audience know a little bit about your your background in music, maybe explain to them a little bit about the style of music that you do and some projects you're doing.
Sure. So, it's a tough question when somebody asks you what kind of music you do, because, when you write eclectic music, it's hard to put it under one name, but I would call myself an alternative pop artist just because, pretty much anything nowadays can fit under the label pop. Pop is
Yeah.
influenced by a lot of different styles. You can write a reggae song and call it pop, or it's rock influence, or jazz influence, or electronic music influenced. So that's kind of like the generic umbrella term that I use. And I write in French and English since I'm originally from Belgium. So I'm trying to make it as a European artist in the United States, which is a challenge for sure, and a little bit of a culture shock. But I think it's good for the United States to have diversity and to have the rest to open themselves to the rest of the world. And every song that I write is a different story. That's why I write in different genres. I don't. I think every song is supposed to encapsulate a certain emotion or a certain feeling. And for me, jazz doesn't make me feel the same way as rock, or doesn't make me feel the same way as a ballad. So, a piano ballad, for instance. So I choose the instrumentation accordingly to the mood of the song and the feeling or the message that I want to express.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, what made you first kind of get into music or into anything creative um, that you do?
Gosh. I think when you're a creative person, you kind of always have been. Like, you don't become a creative person,
Yeah.
So as a child, I just loved anything that was creative, whether it was DIY, cutting, little things, pieces of paper, collages, or painting, or drawing, or writing poetry. I used to write poetry. Um, I learned piano because my brother was learning piano, and I wanted to do everything he was doing. So just the annoying sister that was just uh, tagging along, I guess.
So
But
your family was kind of like they were into music, like your brother
my
playing
mom,
instruments.
she loved and loves to sing and dance. Like, it's a big part of her. I think I inherited that from her. It kind of like her. It expresses a joy of life. A joy of living and enjoying. Partaking in something artistic. I never really asked myself that question. It's just,
Mm.
using music makes you feel good and you want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's like naturally. Like, I don't know a lot of people who don't listen to music at all, and for me, it's very hard to relate. Like, for me, they're like aliens. I'm like, you don't listen to music? Like, how is that possible? You don't watch movies. You don't. And for me, it's very. I mean, I can't relate to it personally because it's such a huge part of my life. But so I always wanted to. I always, was attracted to the arts in general. Whether it's movies or painting or music or dancing, anything that allowed, a self-expression, I guess.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that that was an actual, job that I could
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
It's just, I didn't know anybody who was an artist. Like, I didn't know anybody who lived from that around me. It's not like it was not an option.
Yeah.
My mom was my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so for the longest time, I thought I was just gonna be like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna, wash the dishes and wash the clothes and take care of kids. I guess that's what my life is supposed to be about. Because your mom is your first example as a girl.
Yeah.
I guess guys, their first example is their father. So yeah, I didn't know that it was possible. And it took me a very long time to actually, get outside of that box that, you're framed in, that it's impossible to be an artist or such and such, or to live creatively. It took me a long time to actually be able to overcome that way of thinking and being like, well, I only got one life, you know, I know it's a crazy road, and I might completely fail. But I'm not going to take the safe road because I know where the safe road leads, and that's not where I want to end. So I'm just going to jump and see what happens.
And I'm interested in the psychology around that. Did you like, what do you think kind of encouraged you to really take that leap, to go? Because I know that, like, to just go fully 100% into the creative, like a creative craft, is kind of, it's very risk taking behavior. And like, a lot of people around you, did they understand you, or like, walk us through some just part of that process mentally that you went through?
Well, all my friends thought I was crazy. I mean, basically, that's why I actually did not really tell a lot of people because I didn't want to have their reactions. Because your environment is preventing, is hindering change. Your environment doesn't want you to change because they know you a certain way and that's safe to them. If you start changing, they're like, oh, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. They feel maybe threatened, or, you might be threatening their values or their system of thinking. And your environment will try to slow you down or prevent you from changing. And that's why, I kind of kept those kind of crazy thoughts to myself. And the first thing that actually opened my mind to that possibility was finding out alternative artists that were outside of the mainstream circuit, because you grow up and all you're conditioned to is, radio and TV, and you see the superstars on there, Madonna and such, Michael Jackson and Britney Spears, and you don't know, you're like, oh, then you go read their bio, and they did the Mickey Mouse Club when they were like 10 years old, and then their parents contacted a producer in Miami, and I'm like, oh, I'm done. Like, my parents don't know any producer. I didn't do the Mickey Mouse Club, and
Yeah.
like, there's no way, such and such was discovered when they were 15, and they have all these completely different, lifestyles than you, and you're like, whoa, I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
I'm not in that world. Like, my parents don't, own a bank and have all these high contacts, um, and so it was like, we need examples in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need things that can lead us, coaches, mentors, examples of success that we can relate to. And until I was, later in my teenage years, I didn't know nothing about the underground scene,
Yeah. Wow.
And that's when you start learn, like, it's not on TV, it's not on radio, and it's like your friend is like, hey, let's go see this local band, and they're from this place and you never heard of them, and they have a little MySpace page at the time,
Yeah.
and you're like, what? And then I went to see them, and it was like music that I've never heard before, and it was, absolutely horrible. But I was absolutely fascinated by the fact that they went for it. You know what I'm saying? I just admired the courage. I admired the fact that, it was all composed in their little garage, and they booked their own little tour, and they, self-produced their EP, and for me, I didn't even know that was possible, so that kind of opened my mind to the possibility of how much you can accomplish by yourself. And that is, I had no idea you can print your own CD. I was like, if I don't have a label, a lot of artists still think that if you don't have a label backing you up, you're screwed. You're done. And it took me, to wrap my head around that, because you're like, gosh, it does look like a lot of work, though. You look at it and you're like, whoa, I'm going to have to do not only my music, but everything else that a label is supposed to provide for me, everything else the producer, I'm supposed to, there's so much to it, networking and booking shows and promoting and posting, posting flyers and printing CDs and arranging your merch and processing card payments and building a website and social media. There's so much to it. And it can look like a huge amount of work. And it is kind of like it, it does seem discouraging when you are at step one. You haven't even taken your first step, and you're like, there's so much, should I even go that road? Because there's no guarantee. I mean, very few people succeed. But I just couldn't turn down that fire inside me, I couldn't turn down that flame that said that's what's going to make me happy. If I make it, I can't live without it. I can't, go the other route, because I know that I'm going to have regrets. And I just try to live my life every day, I don't want to have any regrets, I'm going to say at least I tried.
Yeah.
So that's when I first, encountered the underground scene, and then I that was like a small French band. My buddy's like a metal band. And I was like, yo, go! Do it, I was absolutely fascinated by their lead singer. I mean, I'm going to admit that confess that just for you and your listeners. I was actually kind of jealous, kind of like unhealthy kind of fascination, Or I was so, disappointed with my own life. I was like, I want to be her, I wish I had, I wish I had started this 5 years ago like she did, and I was just absolutely fascinated with the drive and the passion that they had. And then I discovered more and more alternative artists,
Yeah.
Emily Autumn, which I'm a huge fan of. She handled everything herself, and I'm like, I don't know how she does it. She's Superwoman. You're like, gosh, do you ever sleep? You see some of these people online, and they seem like they just continuously creating content, and it's amazing. And they just inspired me to be like, I'm not inferior to them. If they can do it, I can do it. They're human, and I'm human, and I have the same capabilities. I just have to find the same drive and passion and dedication. So, it just took take that leap of faith of being like, okay, I'm going to put everything I have into this and let go of all the things that are slowing me down, including people in my environment that are preventing me from achieving my dream, if that makes sense.
Definitely. No, that's interesting. It's interesting you say that, that you needed kind of some other reference point other than the big famous, you know, Britney Spears and all these crazy people, and you needed kind of a more down to earth reference point of, oh, I can actually do this and start off, and that's kind of the next step is, I can probably do some shows or make some music. And so, did you like when you started out? Did you um, just play music um, like for fun by yourself, or did you like when you really thought, okay, I'm going to take this seriously? Um, did you say, okay, I'm going to go and make some songs, like some dedicated songs, or was it kind of this? Did they just kind of naturally progress throughout, your time spent?
You mean the songwriting?
Yeah, like the songwriting and like you saying, okay, I'm going to now do this, take this fully seriously. Did you just then go, okay, now I'm gonna go and write songs and then make an album and then I'm gonna go and do shows, or was it kind of just like it just naturally progressed from one thing to the next, and you just thought you just naturally played music at home and then you just wrote a song, like kind of like what was that kind of like the process of creating your first type of
I personally, a lot of songwriting mentors out there will tell you that you're not supposed to do it that way.
yeah, no, I mean,
reference point,
did I hit a sore spot, did I?
Hopefully nobody, no songwriting mentor is like watching this interview. Some people, they dedicate their life to be solely songwriters, and for them it's an exercise and it's a drill, and they're supposed to songwrite every day, even if they don't have inspiration, and keep going and keep crafting the songs and rewriting and such. For me, I can't do that. I can't force myself to write a song. It's like I have to have something to say. I have to have a strong message. Like for me, we're talking about that art for me is the message. It's communicating values and it's communicating emotions, and there's no point of creating a piece of art for me personally if it doesn't have a strong emotion or a strong message. So if I want to communicate something to the world, I have to be in that mindset of like, okay, I really believe in this and this is what I want to say. And I used to write poetry. That's kind of how I could organize my thoughts, because they're kind of like scattered and floating all around. The creative people type, just like goes into various directions. It's a labyrinth. And you go one way and you find yourself stuck, and you go back and you're like, oh, I'm going back to my, thought number 33 or such. And for me, writing poetry was a very structured and beautiful way of organizing my thoughts. It's like, oh, you find rhymes and you have verses and you switch and you have paragraphs and such and such. And it's like a beautiful way of communicating something. And so I wrote a few poems, and then I was like, gosh, I really want to write songs. How do you do that?
Yeah.
I was trained playing classical piano, and I promise I'm going to get you to the answer of your question.
No, I like it. Yeah, yeah.
So trying to combine the two, it just happened that the songs that just came to me, like the melody, like there's some sort of research to it, for some songs, but like a lot of the songs that I wrote, it's just the melody comes, and then I tweak it, and then the words, they kind of come together because I have something to say. Like my first French song, Comme Si, I was like, cool, I can write songs. I was like amazed that that was my first song. But to go back to your question, I had a song, I had the words, I had a melody, it was in my head, but I didn't know how to get it out. I was like, I don't know how to record, I don't know how to arrange, I don't know what the bass does and the drums do, and what kind of instruments it needs, and like there's a huge craft to not only songwriting but also arranging a particular song. The sounds of the instruments that you choose. Are you going to go with a hip hop sounding beat or a rock sounding beat? Or a jazz sounding beat? You have, or dance music that's completely different too. You can arrange a song in different styles too. So I was like, all right, well, I have a few songs. I've written, 2 or 3 songs. I have a bunch of poems. What's the next step I need to take to be completely independent as an artist? I need to learn how to record. So that's when I went to England and decided to pursue a 2-year program in audio engineering and music technology that actually was very varied. It had a lot of things. It had, performance and songwriting and recording and, different kind of courses. And that kind of program does not exist in Belgium.
Okay.
So that's where I also wanted to learn how to songwrite in English. So I thought first, to go to the United States, because in the United States they're very, very innovative and they have the craziest names for bachelor degrees that I've ever heard, I mean, in Belgium, you pretty much have, bachelor in economics and political science, bachelor in, linguistics, bachelor in civil engineering, or bachelor in history and fine arts. You don't have any fancy, blah, 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 I don't know, like music technology and audio such and such, like commercial songwriting or, crazy creative things like that. That does not exist in Belgium. So that was my first time where I was like, I need to get out of Belgium and, get into a program like that. And plus also, I felt like, maybe a lot of independent artists, they kind of figure it out in their own little garage, in their bedroom. They fiddle around with whatever it is on Macs, called the guitar thing.
I don't know. I don't have. Well, I used to have a Mac. I can't remember.
Well, there's like these little programs that you can use to record nowadays on Macs or computers, but I figured it would, me being a girl and not being particularly good with technology, I thought I was going to take a shortcut. I was like, I could spend 10 years trying to figure out by myself, or I could, go on a program and hopefully somebody's going to show me the buttons that I need to push,
And so did you find that very helpful going through that 2-year course? And did that give you confidence to say, hey, now I know how to create I've got the melody and the stuff that I pick up creatively, and now I know how to kind of transfer that into a song? Did you get that just through that course, or was it kind of like you needed to kind of learn more outside of there?
Well, it was good. I learned how to record, how to press record, and how to plug in a microphone, but on some level it was not fulfilling. It was not exactly matching my expectations, because the style of teaching in England and the United States is actually more independent driven, where you have very few hours of teaching and then more hours to figure out by yourself. And I was like, what was the point? That was exactly what I was trying to avoid, is to not figure it out by myself. I wanted somebody to be there and baby me through it and be like, okay, this is, number 1, you press this button. Number 2, you go into the setting. And, number 3, break everything down for me. And, first time I entered into the recording studio, they had really cool facilities there. And all the lights, light up, and it's blue and green and yellow and red and everything. And I'm like, whoa, I feel like I'm in the pilot's cabin. The plane is ready to take off and I'm going to crash, because I don't know operate this airplane when
Yeah.
there's like so many lights and so many buttons, you know, and you're like, whoa, what does all this do? Like, you know, I don't know. And then um, I actually wanted to learn more about actually arranging, you know, and for different styles of music because, like I explained, you know, every song of mine, I had a different vision for it. You know, I didn't want to just do a rock album. Like every song, I was like, well, how do I write a salsa song? How do I write a tango? How do I write a rock song? How do I write a blues song? How do I write, you know, how to arrange for these different styles of music? So basically, the course did not really meet my expectations because I wanted to learn more about different styles of arranging. And that's when I realized that I needed to actually, you know, go and get real life experience in a real studio and just learn all of that in a city like New York or LA or Nashville that has an actual music community where people make a living off of their music.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Because I was thinking how, like the courses, whether courses, so-called creative courses, actually help creative people create um, their work that they want to create, or if it's kind of just like a formality or something to help them just get an industry job, but not necessarily help them, like you wanted to create an album, but maybe it helps you become a sound recorder, so you can be behind the scenes and stuff, but maybe actually with your creative pursuits, it might not be the most ideal thing. But not saying that it didn't help you personally. Only you can speak to that. But I know with myself when I did creative advertising, and it and I felt like they didn't really help us create the creative aspects of the advertising. They were just going through all through all the motions, and it seemed just like a money making scheme to me. But yeah, I don't know. I just found that pretty interesting. But
I hear what you say, and actually, that is something that it's interesting because, like, my perspective is very, very different on that. I actually
okay,
did not want anybody to tell me what to create because that is very personal, and who is anybody to tell me, you know, this piece of art is valuable or not. I think it's for us creatives, it's up to us to just, you know, create and be honest with ourselves and with the world, and the world to decide, you know, once you put it out there,
mm.
to be like, okay, people connect with this or people don't connect with this, you know.
Oh yeah,
But I don't think that it should be, you know, that one teacher should tell you whether yes or no your art is worthy of being, you know, put into the world. So I actually prefer, you know, I went there to learn more the technical sides. That's why I didn't go to
yeah,
study just music. I studied music technology or audio engineering because I didn't want somebody to tell me what to record, but I wanted somebody to show me how to record, if that makes sense.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to get the tools of it. So I didn't want somebody to tell me whether or not I should write a certain song. I want somebody to tell me if I want to write a song in this particular style, how do I do that?
mm.
Um, I think it's the same in a lot of other arts. You know, I don't believe that you need to go to fashion school for somebody to teach you how to be creative. Like, how to be creative, you can't teach that. Like, it's about allowing yourself to express yourself. Like, everybody is creative. Like, some people don't allow themselves to express themselves in other mediums, but you know, you go to fashion school and they teach you all about the history of fashion and such, but you know, at the end you also learn things like sewing or how to do a certain cut, a certain pattern for a certain size of body, you know.
Yeah.
that's that's the non-creative side. That's more of the,
The
you know,
basic
how do you do
skills.
that?
Yeah,
And painting. Well, a lot of people argue there's abstract painting. You don't have to, you can just draw a line on a piece of paper and call it art, which is true. It is true. If that's what you want to do, no artist has to go to a painting school. But if I was going to go to a school, I would want them to teach me the rules of perspective, how to mix colors, how to use different mediums, like how much water I'm supposed to use and watercolors, not to make my whole, body painting a disaster soaked in soaked in water. I would want them to teach me different techniques, the possibilities, the limits that have been done so far, so I can expand on that and be like, oh, well, ABC has been done, but what about D?
Yeah.
And I would want to learn how to create, like for instance, I did some painting classes, and some of it was learning the proportions of the human face.
Yeah.
So people don't know that. People don't know that, this and this and this is a third, and there's about the space of an eye between your two eyes, and your ears, you extend the line between your nose, and like people, like when you have to draw a human face, you don't know where to start. So you can learn a lot of technique, but nobody's going to teach you how to be creative, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't. That's the part that is personal, and it's like a color palette. You go to school and you just get a color palette and tools, and then it's up to you to use them whichever way you want.
No, I like that. It's like kind of, yeah, they gave you all the tools, and you're using everything they teach you now as a tool for your creative expression. Like now you know how to record a certain instrument, for example, but they're not going to tell you, the notes to play and all that, and you got to kind of, um, work those things out for yourself. And I want to,
What I found
yeah,
out. Sorry to
no, no, yeah,
interrupt.
no, go ahead, yeah,
Well, what I actually found out is that actually that's what I thought, because you go to school and you think they're going to teach you everything, but the reality is that in art there's no rules,
yeah,
and it's you can't teach 30 years of audio engineering
yeah,
experience in 3 years or 2 years or whatever. So they actually, I thought they were going to teach me how to record every single instrument and such and such. The reality is they kind of teach you how to figure it out by yourself. This is
teach you how to
exactly what
learn, yeah,
they do it. They teach you how to learn
yeah,
or where to find the information or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, you're not going to show me exactly where to position the microphone when I'm recording a violin. You're going to teach me how to move the mic around and listen and see what sound I prefer. Okay,
yeah,
So I didn't really know what to expect when I went into it.
yeah,
And that's when I realized, I was like, well, if I have to figure it out by myself, I might as well learn from somebody who's making a living out of it, because that's the real, that is the real experience.
yeah.
Versus the learning in a school, but it's not practical. It's not hands-on. Like, why would I learn songwriting from somebody who's not a songwriter?
Yeah, makes sense. And then, so did you go and what was the next step of that journey? You went to, um,
That's when I decided to just leave and go to a city like, I thought about LA and New York, obviously. Nashville was not at the top of my list, but it was kind of,
and how did you end up there?
well, I consulted my savings account, and
Yeah,
as crazy as I am, my bank account basically told me that LA was out of the question because of the cost of living. It's so expensive to live in LA or New York. And I mean, you gotta understand, I moved there, I didn't have a job, I didn't have a car, I didn't have a place to live, I didn't know anybody, so
oh yeah,
I didn't even know if I was going to be able to work. I didn't know if I had a social security number or anything. So, I mean, I am half American, so that was at least I didn't have to go through the visa trouble. But it's still, moving like that across continents
Yeah.
can be a little scary. And I thought I googled most affordable city in the United States, and Indianapolis came in first. So I zoomed out and I saw that Nashville was not too far down, and I was like, I think Nashville is pretty affordable. I mean, I kind of looked; they seem to have a lot of great studios and a great music community, and I thought it was a good first stop. Like I thought, even if I wanted to maybe just be in Nashville for a couple of years and then move to a bigger city like LA or New York, I could still do that, but I needed a place to establish myself.
Sure. And how have you found it there so far? Like, is there a big music scene there, or at least like a music scene that you jive with like other artists there?
Definitely, and the music scene here is huge. I mean, every other person is a musician or a sound engineer. Everybody has a home studio, or everybody plays guitar. So it's actually very intimidating, because you think you're gonna come here and you're gonna be the next big thing or something, but it's very humbling. Like that's not the case at all. Many people come here and then they don't pursue their. I mean, it's hard to make it. They don't pursue their career. They can't make a living playing music. You have to come here and start understanding how it works. So you come here to network. You come here to meet other professional musicians. You come here to learn. People come here and they think they have it all figured out. That's not true. You know, you have still a lot of learning. You come from a small town and you're a rock star there, and you come here and you're a nobody. So you have to network,
Do
be
you
very resourceful.
do you have any tips for anyone if they're like a musician and they're just starting out, um, for like networking, like how to kind of network, like or do you just go out? Like what did you do?
Well, I did the wrong thing for the first couple of years. I just served pizzas and I had no idea, how to get into that world. I mean, I connected with some people. I knocked on some, music studios. I connected with some artists, but not everybody is serious. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought I was crazy. I was like, whoa, you moved here from another state. I mean, I moved there from another country, right? Somebody moves there from another state, they want to make it, but they're not serious about it. They don't come to rehearsals. They don't book a show. They don't have their music together. They don't, they don't do any of that stuff. And you're like, well, how bad do you want it? Is your pizza serving jobs more important? Like for me, you have to set your priorities straight. I didn't fly 6,000 miles over the ocean just to serve pizza. I could have found a pizza serving job in Belgium. So for
Probably
me,
tasted better,
that
yeah.
was never going to be my priority. And if they wanted to, my music was more important. So if I had a gig or something important, like I would take off my job and I wanted to have a part-time job. And if they wanted to fire me, because I was not available enough, I was like, fair enough. I mean, I'm sure I can find another pizza serving job elsewhere. It's
Yeah.
not like that's a big deal. So you have to come in there and really be focused on what is your priority. I mean, paying your bills is a priority, of course. But, once you have that taken care of, you have to still put music first and your dream first. And after that, you have to work smart. So you have to identify the things that you need. You have your song, but you don't know nobody. So
Hmm.
stop writing music and go out there and meet people,
Interesting.
Or if you're just spending time hanging out with people, but you have nothing to show, go back home and write songs. So it's like finding that balance of like, what is it that I need? The next step. Do I need, a photo shoot of professional pictures? Do I need to set up a website with an EPK? Do I need to, start a Facebook page and start my branding, create a logo? What are the next steps that I need to take? And there's a lot of coaches here. I mean, you have to, pay some programs, but it's no different than going to college. I mean, people invest thousands and thousands of dollars into a degree. So
Definitely.
I definitely invested a lot in my music, vocal coaching and songwriting and
Oh,
going
wow.
to seminars and workshops. And I went to BMI songwriting workshops where 50 songwriters come and present their song and get a feedback. You go to open mics, uh, more people the more events you get invited to, because of course nobody's going to find you in your pizza place and be like, hey, you did a music industry event. Nobody knows that. So networking comes down to talking to people and actually sharing your mission, sharing your dream. Nobody knows what you're working towards. Nobody can help you.
That's right. Do you want to talk about some of your projects that you've done, like your album, um, Wait for It, and or any other? Because I saw that you did a video clip recently, Dreamland. You raised like $5,000 or something like that to do that, and so that's pretty exciting. So do you want to talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so my EP, I produced it myself in 2014, and it's called Wait for It because it was kind of like my demo. It was a way to say, all right, this is, what I'm hearing. This is kind of like my art. And for the next level, like for a full on album or to create more songs or such, I needed to, raise some funds, of course, and put it out there for people to connect and to be supportive of what I do. And right now, I am actually in the process of mastering those tracks for release on iTunes and Spotify and such. So I just released my first song on iTunes and Spotify and Pandora, so I'm really excited about that.
And we'll
My song.
we'll put links in the description. So if anyone wants to get, that's the single Comsi, right?
Yes, my
Yeah,
French song that I wrote when
French
I was
song.
17 is my very first song that I wrote. So it means a lot to me. It's been a long time. And yeah, I'm very excited to keep creating more music or putting more shows together. And I did actually, like you said, crowdfunded my music video because I produced my own first music video by myself for MC. And this time around, I wanted to create something more professional and more polished. So I decided to, solicit my fan base and see if they would be supportive of my crazy project because it was a little out there. It was a project where music video I was going to be entirely body painted with
I saw that.
UV neon blacklight reactive paint and entirely shot under black light, so very different, for a cinematographer, for a videographer to capture that. You have to have a specific
Mm.
camera lens to shoot under low lighting or black light. And it was going to be shot on a boat set, so it was definitely a little out there, but yeah, so we just finished shooting like a week ago, and we're in the editing stages now. So I'm really, really excited for that release.
And when do you think it'll come out? Any
Um,
scheduled time?
I'm waiting to see the rough cut and sit down to see the editing, and then I will have a better idea. I think in the next few weeks, no more than probably a month,
Yeah.
unless unforeseen circumstances happen, which they sometimes do in creative and artistic worlds. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about that, and hopefully everybody will enjoy the artistic output.
Well, when you release it, I'll update the description and I'll put it in there. So if anyone watches this later, they'll be able to go and find it.
What did you think about it?
Um, well, I only saw a little bit of the behind the scenes when you had your Well, I guess you'd call it a costume, but the paint and everything. Yeah. No, I'd like to see the full video. Yeah, I really would. Um, but
So I'm a creature, so I have like only 3 fingers and 2 toes, and my face looks completely different. So I told everybody, like, if they watched the video, they had no idea what I look like as a person.
yeah, you couldn't really tell who you were at all. Yeah, and
It's,
and in the black light too, it's like, it's really dark. You can't tell at all. Even like, I didn't even know how tall you were or anything. It was just like, what?
yeah. Well, the whole idea was that if you shoot under black light, when you paint something black, it disappears in the background. If the background is black and you shoot in the dark, so I wanted parts of my body to disappear, to kind of create like visual illusions and such, and that was the whole point, of going that road, because I could modify my body without modifying it, if that makes sense. Just with paint and with optical illusions, I guess. So yeah.
And did you come up with the whole idea for the video clip, or did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My crazy brain made that up. I fell in love with the body painting, the art of body painting online. I saw it, on Facebook, and more specifically, the stuff shot under black light. Like, it had this kind of sci-fi, fantastical look to it, kind of like out of the real, like not real. And I really liked it. I felt that it was a perfect match for that song, because Dreamland, I invite all the listeners to have a listen to it. Of course, it does take you to a little bit of a different kind of dreamy, ethereal space. And so I felt it was a perfect match. And then I was like, well, I could make myself into a creature and make it non-human specific, just connect with a living being, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to look human or animal or such, but extraterrestrial or out of this world, and make it like just general, because it's a metaphorical song, so it should apply to anything and anyone, really. It's a journey about courage and going after your passion, and self-doubt and introspection and feeling lost and all these human emotions that we all feel. And well, I mean, animals can feel it too, so emotions, I guess, period. So I felt, that's kind of where the idea emerged. But because it's a metaphor set on a boat and in the ocean, I wanted it to be on a boat with the storm and and all that effect. So that's kind of where the idea came from.
Right. And was it that song or another song that was kind of the journey from where you were originally in your country to over here? I read something about that journey inspired some of your music, or?
Yes, that is actually that song. It was actually about my journey coming to Nashville, and thinking that, it took me so long and so much courage to, build up the drive and passion to, well, actually build up the courage to make such a bold move, like, who books a one-way flight to another continent, Not everybody does that. So it took me a while to, how we discussed about the artists and being inspired, and thinking that I could do it too, and that to believe in myself enough to do that. And it took me years and years, and I thought everything was going to be easier compared to that. It took me so much energy and courage to jump, that I thought, all right, now I'm going to fly, but you don't just fly. You have to be like, paddling and, screaming, and have to outpour constantly more and more energy and so much more work. And I equated it to building my ship and putting it on the water and thinking it's just going to sail by itself.
Yeah.
And then there's no wind. And I'm like, oh, I'm not moving. I gotta row. I gotta blow, into my own sail. I gotta,
Yeah.
I thought it was just gonna take off, and it's not taking off. And you keep on outpouring the same amount of energy and courage every day to, sail towards your dreamland.
And what's some things you're working on now? Like, what's next for you now that you've you've done the video clip and everything? And are you going to make some more music, or are you going to try to promote this?
So right now I have more songs that are on the EP that actually play live, but I don't have them produced yet.
Yeah.
And that would require, raising about 15 to like 10 to $15,000. And, the crowdfunding for the music videos, like, okay, a smaller scale project, which turned out bigger scale because I thought, I was going to raise 3,000 and I had to, this was like, I was sparing the details, but basically, I got a great deal because nobody could do it for my budget. But I wanted to see how that works, and if my fans were willing to support my art, because nobody just shows up and says, "Hey, here's $250 to just do whatever you want with it."
Yeah.
Yeah, just $250, and you can go just paint yourself and shoot under black light. Cool, So I'm very thankful that I was able to be successful with this project, and I hope that people will see the outcome and be inspired and to participate more into my art and be more involved. But before I can do that, I still need to play shows and build my audience. And I want to tour the North. I want to go to Canada. I want to tour New York and Chicago and that area. So I have mainly toured the South of the United States right now.
Yep.
So basically, from Florida to California, anywhere in between. But I've not branched out north yet. So this is what I'm working right now, currently working on booking shows there. And
how do you do that? Do you just call people up and just say, "Hey, I want to do a show"? Like, how does that kind of process work? And then do you go with friends and stuff, or do you just or other band members, or do you like support, or do you just go by yourself?
a mix of both. I mean, I've definitely toured mainly by myself for the most part. I have toured sometimes with other band members, like a drummer. Right now, I'm working with a friend who might join the setup as an electronic drummer as well, but we're not quite there yet. So right now, it's a one-woman show, and for the booking process, actually, yes, you have to research live music venues and go through all the booking process and submit the way they want, whether it's an online form or whether it's email, and then just every city that you want to play at, you have to book. It depends. Like some venues you have to book 6 months in advance. The bigger venues is like, if I wanted to play a stadium, it would be like a year in advance, right?
Yeah.
The smaller venues, the less in advance you have to book, but you have to count at least a month or two. So right now I'm kind of like running against time, if I want to play there in a month and a half, I gotta send a lot of emails now, and not very many venues actually respond to emails because they get inundated with artists that want to play. I can't imagine how many emails they get, but your email kind of gets lost in that stack. So you're lucky if you hear back from anybody really. And booking is definitely one of the most challenging aspects of my work. Right. But without it, I wouldn't be able to present my art live to people and share my message. So it's kind of a necessary evil.
And what's live like for you as an artist compared to just recording um, when you're doing the professional recordings?
What is it? What is what?
Oh, what's it like for you when you're um, performing live in comparison to recording the songs?
Oh, it's totally different. Recording the songs mainly like introspective. All my songs are personal, more introspective, and more about listening to inside yourself.
Yeah,
Does that make
yeah,
so
totally.
listening to your inside and trying to get it out there to the world and communicate in a way that they can understand, because I don't want to be one of those obscure artists that nobody understands. I mean, the whole point is for people to connect and understand, and you can share a message. It's kind of like talking. If I was going to talk in French to you right now, you wouldn't get a lot of what I'm saying,
Mm.
And it would be cool to like throw you off a little bit, be like, whoa, this girl's talking French to me. Uh, but it would get boring really, really quick. You can talk to me for an hour if I was speaking French to you.
Mm.
And for me, music is the same way. Like, I'm trying to communicate something to people. I'm trying to make them feel a certain way. So it's about learning how to do that. Listen to yourself and put it into a form that um, your audience can relate to. But when you're live, well, that's the moment of truth. Did you do your job right? Did you write the song in a way that people understand it or not? Do they? If you wanted to create a dance song, are they dancing, or are they all sitting on their chairs bored? Are they listening to your story? Are you making them feel empowered? Are you making them feel reflective or thoughtful, or are you making them laugh? um, and are you making them feel good? Are they having a good time? There's way more that comes into live music than just performing your songs. The connection with the audience. For me, it's about the songs, but it's also about what I say between the songs and how I connect to them. How I conduct myself as a human being, what kind of message I share with them, my values, my overall values, how I want to make them feel. Um, yeah, all those things that I want to inspire them to meet more people, or to get out of their little, what do you call that? Cavern
Love
and
it.
such.
And well, we've been going now for probably be about an hour all up. Is there
Hope
anything?
nobody's bored watching this interview.
It's all right. Is there anything else you want to say? Just anything you want to say.
I definitely want to tell people, since these are probably, is this for creatives, how to be creatives, and that was
Well,
the stuff.
yeah, just yeah, more for creative people and just yeah.
I really want to say, and it might sound cliche because you hear it everywhere, but it's true. You got to believe in yourself and just go after what you feel in your heart, because you only live once. And if you just listen to if you just correspond to the mold that other people want to put you into, um, you're always going to be missing something. And there's always priorities in life, of course. I mean, I understand that some people, choose to family, or they have personal reasons for having to put something on the wayside. But if you're a creative, it's not about making a living creating. It's about the act of creating. You were creating before you even thought about making a living. You were creating when you were 5 years old. You were creating when you were 12 years old, and you didn't have to
Yeah.
put food on the table. So it's something that you can do for yourself to have a fulfilling life and a balance. In your personal life first and foremost. Like, you have to enjoy doing it. But if you do, never stop. regardless of whether you make a living with it. And if you do want to make a living with it, you're going to have to learn a lot of BS that you never thought you would ever have to learn. And you never thought you would even want to learn, and you want to, you would want to outsource it and as soon as possible. And that's great if you have a nice paying job and you're able to put $200,000 aside and then outsource all of that. Awesome. If not, just for the sake of your dream, you'll have to, I don't know how you say it in English, but you will have to push through and learn a lot of stuff that you never thought you would have to do. So get to it. It's never too late. It's never too late to pursue your dream, because the journey itself makes you happy, not the outcome. The journey of learning. All creative people, I think, like to learn, just like you, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And you learn every day. I mean, I learn every day. I'm never there, but I am enjoying living a life out of the ordinary for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I mean, you've summed it up perfectly. I don't even think I could say anything else. That's just like, it's almost beautiful. Yeah, well,
Okay.
I really appreciate you spending your time talking with me. And where can people find you if they want to connect with you online or?
Oh, excellent question. Well, I would love to connect with anybody who wants to connect with me. So you can find me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Irenka Style; Twitter, Irenka Style; Instagram, Irenka Style; SoundCloud, Irenka Style. You can also find me on YouTube. But definitely you can find all those links on my website, blackswanworld.com, blackswanworld.com. And I love connecting with people because you can communicate so much through conversation or comments or just having, interaction with one another. And it makes us richer as a person. So I definitely, please get in touch if you feel a connection to me and my art.
Well, thanks, Irenka, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much, Jarrett, and have a beautiful Australian day.
I will.